Welcome to Yelling at Birds. Matt here. Hopefully you're having a great day. You know, I've done 50 episodes, I believe, so far, and what I realized is, even though there's going to be some lighting issues here for a second, even though I may have, shared a little bit about me and my reasons for doing the podcast, I don't think I've really taken you into kind of the nitty-gritty of a few things that are my day-to-day life. So what you saw me doing there to start the car, that is an ignition interlock device. What that device does is checks my breath, checks the alcohol content, blood alcohol content, through a breathalyzer. It's basically a breathalyzer, and not allowing me to start my car unless the test comes back under a certain level. And I can't remember what it was. I mean, I haven't drank for about a year and a half now, a little over a year and a half, and I can't remember what it is. I think it's like a 0.02 something. It's like having a beer. And so the realities of that, I just figured I'm heading to the store right now to pick up some things that I need. So what better time to kind of go over some of that, some of those realities than when I'm driving. So back to the interlock device. So that is something that you get when you make the decision to drive under the influence of alcohol and get pulled over and fail the breathalyzer and as part of a DUI. The realities of the interlock device, I've had it for about a year in my car. I'll have it for about another year, and along with that, an occupational license. So it's a restricted license that I can only drive certain hours of the day. For Wisconsin, you get 40 hours a week, 12 hours a day, like max of drive time. So right now I have a window from 12:30 to 1:30. So from 12:30 to 1:30 I can be out driving, not just doing anything, but I'm heading to the store. I have for work related reasons or homemaker reasons, also going to church, caring for family members, things like that. So I can't just go out and drive around. So occupational license and interlock device in the car. So what is the interlock device? Like I told you, it tests your, it's basically a breathalyzer that allows you to start the car. In a little bit, it's probably going to go off again, and I'll have to retest. After the initial ignition of the car, after 5 minutes, it gives you a retest. Then after that, it's anywhere from up to 15 minutes. Anytime. It's kind of random after that. So it tests you continually while you're driving. And I'm probably going to get to my stop before I do this whole video. So I'm going to just kind of drive a little bit like around the block and everything too, just so I can kind of explain it and so you can see what happens. So this device, there's different brands that you can get. This is an Intoxilock. Yes, Intoxilock is the brand name for this interlock device. And the problems that people have with it, obviously, problems will come with it, and rightfully so. This isn't supposed to be kind of a walk in the park. Obviously, I made a choice, and like many other people that have to have one of these in their car for a little bit, it shouldn't be an easy transition between this and your license. You should have to work for it a little bit, and with that becomes some financial burden and some embarrassment. It is what it is. With this, so the reality of this, it costs me $70 a month and some change. So about $70 a month to rent it. It has to be recalibrated every other month. So basically within like 6 days of when it needs to be recalibrated, when I start it up, it's going to tell me that in 6 days or in 4 days you must have your machine recalibrated. So see, and there it goes again. So when that happens, I do the test. And then that will give me an answer. It'll test my breath, and then good to go. So now, it's usually within 15 minutes or earlier, it'll go off again, and I'll need to test again. All right, $70 a month. It gets recalibrated every month. It's $14 to get it recalibrated, or sorry, 16, and it's pretty simple. I just have to take it off, take it in. They have a machine that you stick it on, that they stick it on at any place that services these devices, and takes 5 minutes, and then I'm back on the road, and that's it, and I'm good for another couple of months. The problems that people have with them, not feeling like they have the lung capacity to blow. They try to blow too hard. Actually helped some people in some groups over last winter. I have the device I have. You have to leave in your car, and they tend to get cold. So the only advice that they give is wrap it in over the winter months. Wrap it in a winter hat or insulate it a little bit so it doesn't get too cold. Because when you go to start it, it's going to tell you, waiting for unit to warm up, and sometimes it can take up to 2 or 3 minutes to warm up, so you can blow into it, so you're not just like freezing up the inside of the machine or of the device. So in the wintertime, you're not starting your car and having it warm up, so you're getting into a cold vehicle. Same thing in the summertime too. Your AC is not getting a head start, that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna park. I'm driving around for no reason. So I'm at the store. All right, what else? So opponents of having something like this in your car, say it's a distraction, it's dangerous, and it can be, because the biggest thing is, you're driving along, you're in traffic, maybe you're trying to merge, and then all of a sudden it goes off, you get panicky, you have to, pick it up, go through the process, and then put it back down again. But I think so that can happen. And I noticed that too. I don't know if you noticed it when I was turning the corner, but like turning your head around, you're sitting there, blowing into it, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, and then you're done. I've also noticed that I used to listen to stand-up radio in the car. You probably shouldn't do that, because if you start laughing, you're going to fail the test, and it's going to start honking at you if you fail it. It's kind of one of those things where if you fail it, or if you're not blowing hard enough, or with enough volume, I like to tell people, think about blowing a higher volume instead of blowing harder, because a lot of people can have issues with that, especially like if they have breathing issues, or they have asthma or something like that. So people say that it's distracting. It's also embarrassing. That's the honest truth, and I think rightfully so. Not all states have you get an IID, ignition interlock device, in your car for your first offense for drunk driving. Having one in my car, I lean towards, I would rather the state have that for the first offense, just because it is embarrassing, and you have to be very thoughtful of your driving. You have to be very thoughtful of alcohol that you have in your system, because I think some people with these devices that haven't been able to fully stop drinking, you'll wake up the next day and you'll still have alcohol in your system. Now you can't get your car started, and you can't get to work, and you have to sit there, or you have to call somebody for a ride, or you have to sit there for hours while your blood alcohol content goes down. Some people will try to, beat the system a little bit and know how much they can drink the night before, and by the time the next day rolls around, where they'll be. That's a very slippery slope. It's, I've been there before too, and I've been late for work, and I've missed work due to that before I made the choice to stop drinking. But I just wanted to, for those of you that haven't had alcohol offenses before, haven't had the experience of this, you might know somebody that has. I just kind of wanted to show you the reality of it. And it's, some people, it's that extra $70 a month is a big deal. It's a burden. Having to sit there and blow into something to start your car, for some people, it can greatly affect your life. Because you used to, give people rides to work. Now you don't want to because it's embarrassing. Or you're in traffic and you have to start it, or let's say you're at a stoplight and there's people on either side of you, and now it goes off and you don't want to, you panic, and it can affect your driving. But that's the reality, and it could be much, much worse. Imagine, this is a lucky alternative to being in jail, or being in prison, or not being able to drive, or having to fully rely on someone else for something. Well, I say being in jail, being in prison, I mean, it's a good reality to killing yourself or killing someone else with that decision. So I just wanted to show one example of an alternative to, one example of a penalty for a decision. And, I was thinking about, I could have done it all winter, but because it's not super fun. Let's say it's 5 degrees out, or it's negative whatever degrees out, and I have to come in to my car before work. It takes the device 2-3 minutes to warm up, so now you're sitting in a cold car for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you can blow into the device, start your car, then your heat starts. And basically for me, my commute to work is about 10 minutes. So if it's really cold in the wintertime, I'm pretty much, by the time I'm getting to work, my heat's just kind of getting started. Or it's, halfway, a little over halfway to work, my heat's kind of starting. So that's kind of the reality. But thank you. I think I don't know if I talked about everything I wanted to talk about, but yeah, if anybody needs any help, I did help a few people last winter that were having issues with getting their car started and getting stuck. And basically wintertime or anytime, think about, if you have an IED in your car, think about more volume versus blowing harder, so you don't get yourself all lightheaded or out of breath. Otherwise, it may be an embarrassing thing, but it's embarrassing, and you're out and you're driving. You haven't completely lost all of your freedom. So there's a benefit to that. And I think that you being embarrassed by having this thing in your car is a good trade-off, because there's rightfully so, there's probably a lot of people out there that if they think about somebody having a DUI, they probably think that you shouldn't have your license anymore, probably shouldn't drive a car anymore. I know some other countries that are like that, and so I'm thankful for this, thankful for the alternative, and that's it. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you all have a great day, and see you next time.